Get strong.
Joey Mills. Before Joey Mills became one of the most well-known young stars in the gay adult entertainment business, there was already something about him that fans found emotionally disarming. This was before he became one of the most popular young stars in the industry. In addition to having a youthful appearance, he also had an effortless charm, all of which contributed to the rapid rise in popularity that he experienced on the internet. The notion that Joey Mills was someone who was personable, engaging, emotionally warm, and appeared to be untouched by the cold performance culture that dominates so much of online celebrity was the sense that Joey Mills represented a fantasy that many fans secretly desired but seldom stated publicly. This was the feeling that Joey Mills personified the dream that many fans secretly sought but rarely voiced publicly. Joey's attraction seemed to be a curiously human trait among those who work in a sector that is often predicated on an excessive amount of self-assurance and well-created personas. Furthermore, it is probable that this was the most interesting feature of his rise to fame. Viewers did not get fascinated with him since he seemed to be unreachable. This is the case because he was not easily accessible. Their feelings for him became stronger as a result of the fact that he seemed to be emotionally accessible. At a time when internet culture was beginning to significantly change perceptions of beauty, masculinity, and celebrity, Joey Mills was born in the United States in the late 1990s with the intention of entering the entertainment industry. This is the time period in which he was growing up. By using social media, ordinary young people had suddenly become viral sensations overnight. This had occurred overnight. The concept of attitude has developed into a kind of social currency. Performance was the factor that ended up creating personality. In a digital realm that was rife with artificiality, viewers were yearning for authenticity more and more. This was a trend that would continue. It would seem that Joey lived a life that was rather uneventful for a considerable amount of time before he became recognized to a huge number of people. Work, personal instability, friendships, and the pressure of trying to understand his future were all things that he had to juggle, just as many other young men went through while they were making the move into early adulthood. He had to do all of these things simultaneously. After some time had passed, admirers were interested in him because of the contrast between his humble beginnings and the great amount of exposure he would eventually get on the internet. The reason for this is mostly due to the fact that the reaction was immediate when Joey Mills made her first appearance in the adult entertainment business. It was quite instant that the fans responded to him, but it was not in the same way that they responded to stars who were more aggressive or more macho. In addition to Joey's physical appeal, the emotional atmosphere that he cultivated was a significant factor in his ability to achieve success. Some of the labels that fans have used to describe him include cute in a dangerously addictive way, impossibly adorable, and the human form of comfort. These are just some of the titles that fan titles. Joey Mills does not appear like a dream guy. He seems like the infatuation you never completely got over, was a comment that was posted on the internet and quickly went viral. This comment correctly described the emotional reaction that was surrounding Joey Mills. Another supporter made the observation that he has the kind of smile that enables people to feel emotionally linked in a short period of time. He achieved a great deal of fame on the internet as a result of his capacity to connect with others on an emotional level. While other artists gave off the sense of being distant or mysterious, Joey often gave off the impression of being warm, expressive, and emotionally readable. This was in contrast to the other artists. Within a short period of time, fans became aware of this. His smile, humor, casual attitude, and spontaneous reactions generated a sense of intimacy that fans found compelling. This was the case whether it was via interviews or film from behind the scenes. The obsession quickly spread across the population in a very short period of time. Joey Mills-themed aesthetic videos, GIF collections, fan sites, and TikTok edits have spread like wildfire over the internet over the course of the last several years. Those who admired him not only focused on his physical attractiveness, but they also paid attention to the most insignificant characteristics of his personality. These included occasions in which he seemed nervous despite his apparent self-assurance, such as when he laughed in an awkward manner, when he made affectionate facial gestures, when he engaged in humorous conversations and so on. One of Joey Mills's admirers created a joke about him on the internet, claiming Joey Mills has the ideal aura of the guy that everyone falls in love with by accident. In the comment area, another user offered the following observation. He seems to be emotionally secure in a way that internet celebrities often do not. Conversations that centered on Joey often made use of the phrase emotionally safe, which appeared rather frequently. A big cultural shift occurred within LGBTQ plus fandom circles as a result of the development of this particular person in many regards. When compared to preconceptions of masculinity that are exclusively dominant or emotionally disconnected, audiences discovered that they were more drawn to masculinity that is more emotionally open and softer. The sort of beauty that Joey portrayed was not just dependent on physical appearances, rather it was characterized by warmth, friendliness, and the ability to interact with other people. Rather of using vocabulary that was only focused on his physical attributes, his admirers frequently employed romantic language when describing him. In a letter, one of Joey Mills' admirers showed their adoration for the singer by saying, "Joey Mills feels less like a celebrity infatuation and more like someone you want to protect." An additional person made the comment that, "He seems to be the kind of man who remembers things that are quite insignificant about you." The most significant aspect of his mythology was the emotional projections that he made on the internet, because desire is not the only aspect that fuels online fandom, which is the primary reason for this phenomenon. Using notable characters or people that they like, audiences develop emotional narratives about themselves. As a result of Joey's openness and expressive attitude, fans were able to readily empathize with him and have an emotional connection to him at the same time. The viewers got the sensation that they understood him, even if they were not accurate in their interpretations. There were a great number of online identities that were built only on polished perfection, but he stood out from the crowd thanks to his apparent authenticity. A comparison of Joey's image to that of some of his contemporaries revealed that Joey's pictures seemed to be more calming and welcoming, even from an artistic point of view. The menacing hyper-masculinity or emotionally aloof coolness that he displayed was not a key role in his actions. He showed both of these characteristics. Fans, on the other hand, appreciated his natural charisma via his expressive eyes, youthful vigor, cheeky confidence, and youthful vitality. Joey Mills somehow weaponized looking wonderful was one of the many comments that were left by admirers, and it quickly went viral. The following is an example of a joke that was made about him by a fan. He has the emotional effect of a golden retriever combined with a heartbreaker combo. As his celebrity spread around the world, whole fan communities revolved around him. This occurred concurrently with the development of his renown. There was a huge increase in the number of followers earned by accounts that uploaded screenshots and modifications. Fans commented about his demeanor at a pace that was almost identical to the rate at which they raved about his appearance. In the context of the culture of the internet, this divergence was vital because it raised him from the position of just being beautiful to that of being emotionally significant. A few of his followers acquired a strong emotional protectiveness toward him during the course of their support. It is not uncommon for this to take place under circumstances in which audiences see a hint of fragility beneath the surface of public standing. Sincerity is what creates connections, and fans were able to see that Joey was being real in his interactions with them. When it came to adult entertainment, viewers often voiced their open worry about the possible pressures that fame may possibly have on a person who seemed to be emotionally sensitive and relatively grounded. One of Joey's fans made the following observation on the internet. Despite the fact that the internet may be nasty, Joey still looks to be really compassionate in some manner. I hope fame never hardens him since his compassion is really part of the reason why people admire him, remarked another member on the site. I hope he never becomes more serious. The tenderness that he had became the attribute that set him apart from others. In addition, Joey's story exemplifies the psychological complexities that are associated with being a young digital celebrity in today's world. Adult entertainment artists in today's culture are always under the microscope because of the nature of their work. The fans anticipate having emotional access, communicating with other people, being real, and being seen at all times whenever they are present. There is a careful analysis of each and every smile. Every word conveys a feeling of satisfaction and satisfaction. When it comes to the consumption of persons, the internet is equally as violent in its consumption of appearances. For someone like Joey Mills, who is recognized for being emotionally expressive, widely liked, and greatly romanticized on the internet, this environment carried with it a range of serious emotional repercussions at the same time. The audience often shown a tendency to blur the lines between fact and fantasy in their interactions with the show. Due to the intensity with which certain fans projected idealized romance narratives onto him, they began treating him more like a fictional comfort character than a genuine person. This was a consequence of the fact that they projected these storylines onto him. This level of emotional projection may be rather overwhelming, especially for renowned people who are a little bit younger than the average person. Despite the fact that Joey gained a significant amount of attention on the internet, he often kept an enthusiasm that was incredibly normal. According to his supporters, he seemed to be very modest despite the fact that he was a celebrity. He got countless praises on this. He did not seem to be under the influence of his ego, nor did he appear to be making an effort to be untouchable. It was exactly this modesty that helped to deepen the audience's loyalty to Joey Mills. Joey Mills became famous because he is lovely, observed one admirer in a post that went viral, perfectly expressing the significance of this. The fact that he continues to feel emotionally genuine contributed to the fact that he gained a lot of popularity. As the culture around LGBTQ+ persons on the internet evolved, Joey became a symbol of the evolving views that surround homosexual masculinity in and of itself. One of the most important aspects of the notion was the emotional abrasiveness or performative dominance that was present in previous stereotypes. Joey exemplified a number of qualities, including affectionate masculinity, emotional openness, playful confidence, and warmth. He was a representative of something milder, even though he did not seem to be weak. Particularly among the younger admirers, a sizable proportion of them found the blend to be exhilarating. Not only was he physically attractive, but he also exemplified the kind of beauty that people look for on an emotional level more and more with time. One who was compelling while also giving off the impression of being kind. And somebody who was self-assured, yet nevertheless managed to be emotionally available to others. A well-known somebody who, in spite of the attention they got, managed to keep their humanity intact. Furthermore, it is probable that this is the reason why Joey Mills became such an intriguing character in the history of the country. It was mostly due to the fact that, despite the viral edits, online obsession, fantasy culture, and physical admiration, there was still a young man whose primary appeal may have been the simple feeling that followers could emotionally identify to him via his physical appearance. The following statement, which was heavily disseminated on the internet, was posted by a fan and perfectly conveyed the emotional truth. A lot of online stars appear tough to approach. Joey Mills is the type of guy who people wish they came into contact with at the exact moment in their life when they were experiencing the greatest amount of good fortune. In a society that was increasingly oriented around emotional detachment and groomed perfection, which is the culture that exists on the internet, that warmth which he had became his most powerful form of attraction.
Be strong.